Today, we are going to talk about that why we do not get excellence, why we have to face failure. The reason for the failure today, we are going to know life is like a 10-speed bicycle. Most of us have gear we never use. Life is like a 10-speed bicycle. There are 10 gears in the cycle, but most of us don't know that how to use the gear. So it's said by the Charles. So the first reason why people have to face failure, that is what unwillingness to take risk. Unwillingness to take risk. इच्छा नहीं होती, रिस्क लेने की इच्छा नहीं होती. Unwilling to take risk. Success involves taking calculated risk. Risk taking does not mean gambling foolishly and behaving irresponsibly. People sometimes make mistake, irresponsible and rash behavior as risk taking. They end up with the negative results and blame it on the bad luck. We see so many people are there who take risk blindly and they give excuses that why they have lost. So risk taking is relative. The concept of risk varies from person to person and can be a result of training to the both a trained mountain climber and a novice. Mountain climbing is a risky, but to the trained person is not responsible take risk taking. Responsible risk taking is based on knowledge, training, careful study, confidence, and competence, which give a person the courage to act while facing fear. The person who never does anything makes no mistake. However, he doesn't realize that not doing anything is his biggest mistake. Many opportunities are lost because of indecision. It is habit forming and contagious. Take risk, but don't gamble. Risk taker go with their eyes open. Gamblers shoot in a dark, right? So there is a story that will also tell you about that how people do not take a risk and how we should take. Once someone asked a farmer if he had planted wheat for a season. The farmer replied, "No, I was afraid it wouldn't rain." Then the man asked, "Did you plant corn?" The farmer said, "No, I was afraid of insects eating one corn." Then the man asked, "What did you plant?" The farmer said, "Nothing. I played it safe." So this is what happened when people do not take risk, right? Risks. To laugh is to risk appearing the fool, right? To weep is to risk appearing sentimental. To reach out fox another is to risk involvement. To expose feelings is to risk exposing your true self. To place your idea, your dreams before the crowd is to risk their loss. To love is to risk not being loved in return. To live is to risk dying. To hope it is to risk disappear. To try is to risk failure. But risk must be taken because the greatest hazard in life is to risk nothing. The person who risks nothing does nothing, has nothing, and is nothing. They may avoid suffering and sorrow, but they cannot learn, feel, change, grow, love, or live. Chained by their attitude, they are slaves, right? They have forfeited their freedom. Only a person who risks is free. So this is what you have understood. I think you have understood unwillingness to take risk is one of the best, or we can say that one of the worst for the people thing, for the people who face failure, right? Taking risk is a task. It is an art. Second is that lack of persistence. Lack of persistence. When problem seems insurmountable, quitting seems to be the easiest way out. It is true for every marriage, job, and relationship. Winners are struck but not destroyed. We all have bad setbacks in life. Failing does not mean we are failure. More people fail not because they have knowledge or talent, but because they quit. The total secret of success lies in two words: persistence and resistance. Persist is what must be done, and resist what ought not to be done. That's interesting. A man is a hero not because he is braver than anyone else, but because he is brave for 10 minutes longer. Okay, I think you have understood. The third reason why people face failure, that is instant gratification. Instant gratification, turant santusti. We think short term, not long term. That is limited vision. We are living in an age of instant gratification. There is a pill for everything, for waking you up to putting you to the sleep. People want to take a pill to get rid of their problems. When people want to be instant millionaire, they take shortcuts and compromises on their integrity. The desire to make a million overnight has made the lottery a flourishing business, right? Remember that instant gratification never thinks of consequences, only of momentary pleasure. Today's gratification defines the idea diet as one of that will take off 5 pounds for good intentions. These are people who don't want any more birthdays but want all the presents. So this is what instant gratification also become the reason that why people do not continue what they are doing. They give up so early just because they are not getting instant gratification. So the most of the things which makes us successful or which gives us good result are not related to instant gratification, right? The fourth thing, because of that the people fail, that is first is lack of persist priorities. People make substitutes where they ought not to. People make substitutes where they ought not to. For example, in relationship, they trade money and gifts for affection and time. Some people find it easier to buy things for their children and spouse to compensate for their absence. When we don't have our priorities right, we waste time, not realizing that time wasted is life wasted. Prioritizing requires disciplines to do what needs to be done rather than going by our moods and fancies. Too much emphasis is placed on success and failure rather than doing one's best. How do you cope with the defeat, the problem? Your response to this question says a lot about your character. One of the keys to solving the mystery to success is understanding. Some people have their mind set on money, power, fame, and possessions. We have to understand our priorities. Success does not come by reading or memorizing the principles that lead to success, but by understanding and applying them. That's very interesting. And the next thing is that the reason become of failure, that is looking for shortcut. Looking for shortcut is also because the reason why people get failure. No free lunch. There is a story that I want to show in front of you. There is a story about a king who called his advisor and asked them to write down the wisdom of the ages so that he could pass it on to the future generation. After a lot of work, the advisor came up with the several volumes of wisdom and presented them to the king. The king called his advisor and said that it was too long. People would not read it. They had to condense it. The advisor went back to the work and came back with a one volume, and king said that the same thing. They came back again with one chapter, then one page. The king said the same thing still until they came up with the one sentence that satisfied the king. He said that if there was one piece of wisdom that he wanted to pass on to the future generation, it is this one sentence: there is no free lunch. There is no free lunch. In every organization or society, there are free loaders. They are people who want to get a benefit without paying for it. They are looking for freebies by and large, right? Sometimes or the others. Most of us have been guilty of being a freeloaders. This is a typically seen in an association and organization. Most members are inactive. They want get the full of benefits and effort of the active ones. What is said that they want and get full benefits of the effort of the active ones, right? So the easier way may actually be the toughest way. I tell you the story which will help you. Once there was a lark singing in a forest. Lark is a sparrow name, right? Singing in a forest, the lark stopped him and asked, "What do you have in the box? What do you have in the box? Where are you going?" The farmer replied, the lark stopped him, and the farmer replied that he had worms and that he was going to the market to trade them for some feathers. Feathers, right? The lark said, "I have many feathers. I will pluck one and give it to you, and that will save me looking for worms." The farmer gave a worms to the lark, and the lark plucked a feather and gave it in return. The next day, the same thing happened, and the day after, and on until a day came that the lark had no more feathers. Now it couldn't fly even and hunt for the worm. It started looking ugly and stopped singing, and very soon it died. And very soon it died. So, what is the moral of the story? The moral is quite clear. What a lark thought was easy way to get food turned out to be the toughest way after all. Isn't the same thing true in our lives? Many times we look for the easier way, which really ends up being the tougher way. Loser look for quick fix. This is also bigger reason of why people get failure. Loser look for quick fix. There are two ways of getting rid of weeds in your yard: the easy way and the not so easy way. The easy way may be run a lawn mower and yard looks fine for a while, but that is not that is just only a temporary answer. Soon the weeds are back, but the not so easy way may mean getting down your hands and knees and pulling out the weeds by the roots. It is time consuming and painful, but the weeds will stay away for the longer time. The first solution appeared easy, but the problem remained. The second solution was not so easy, but look care of the problem from the roots. The key is to get out of the root of the problem, right? What is the hardest way will solve your problem for the long time? This says about the story. This is the moral of the story. The same thing is true for our attitude in our life. Some people spread their attitude of bitterness and resentment, and this attitude keeps cropping up in a different parts of their life. The problem with the people today is that they want instant answer. They are looking for 1 minute solution to everything. Just like instant coffee, they want instant happiness. There are no quick fix. This attitude leads to disappointment. The sixth reason why people get failure in their life, that is selfishness and greed. Individual and organization have a selfish attitude towards each other and towards their customers, have no right to expect growth. Their attitude is to keep passing and buck without regard for the welfare of others. Greed always wants more. Needs can be satisfied, but greed cannot. I want to tell you one more thing, that on this earth there is so many things for our need, but there is nothing for our greed. This earth is sufficient for our need. This earth will never be sufficient for our greed. By asking ourselves these three questions, we can know: can I afford it? Do I really need it? If I have it, will it give me peace of mind? Greed comes out of poor self-esteem. Poor self-esteem मतलब आत्मविश्वास कम होने की वजह से हमें लालच आता है. जब हम अपनी क्षमता से कोई चीज हासिल नहीं कर सकते, जब हमें अपनी क्षमता पे विश्वास नहीं होता, तो हमारे अंदर लालच आता है और हम चीज़ों को आसान तरीके से पाने के लिए, ज़्यादा पाने के लिए हम लालच करते हैं. सो सेल्फ एस्टीम की कमी के कारण आता है, विच मैनिफेस्ट्स हिम itself as a false pride, pretense or keeping up with the joyness. The way out of greed is to learn to live within your means and be satisfied. Being contented does not mean lacking ambition. Let's we know about where does it end. There is a story about a wealthy farmer who was once offered all the land he could walk on in a day, provided he came back by sundown to the point where he has started. To get a new start early the next morning, the farmer started covering ground quickly because he wanted to get as much as land he could. Even though he was tired, he kept going to the in all afternoon because he didn't want to miss this once in lifetime opportunity to gain more wealth. Late in afternoon, he realized the condition that he had to fulfill to get the land was to get back to the starting point in by sundown. His greed had gotten him far enough. He started his return journey, keeping an eye on how close he was to sundown. And the closer it got to sundown, the faster he ran. He was exhausted, out of the breath, and pushed himself beyond the point of endurance. He collapsed upon reaching the starting point and died. He did make it before sundown, right? He was buried, and all the land he needed was just a small plot. There is a lot of truth in this story, and the lesson to be learned. Whether the farmer was wealthy or not, any greedy person would have ended the same way. So I hope so you have understood what I have explained. See you in the next video. Till then, bye bye. Good day. Jai Hind. Vande Mataram. Jai Bharat. Bharat Mata ki Jai.